All right, we know the candidates are going to the Iowa State Fair, but who exactly are they aiming to meet and persuade? CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, is here with a closer look at the Iowa electorate. All right, Anthony, start off, if you could, by breaking this down for us. We talk about Iowa so much. How exactly does it work there?
Well, first of all, you should have introduced me as the very jealous elections director because
exactly.
that all looks so good.
Fried deliciousness.
All we've got is, electronic data here, to numbers to chew on.
That's right. Oh, gosh. Nothing like some polling humor. Okay.
Anyway, so look, the way Iowa works is this is a delegate fight, like every state. But in particular for Iowa, because it is a caucus, you're going to want to look at how the candidates around the state get their voters out to the caucuses and pick up the delegates that are available in, if you look at the map, each of the congressional districts of Iowa. That means out near Des Moines, where they are right now, but also in the east and also in the west. And that's something that we're taking this moment to kind of introduce this idea to everybody. We've got 6 months to break it all down for you. But this is what the campaigns are thinking about, which is how do they get from all regions of the state enough voters to get enough delegates out of the state to make it sort of profitable in the delegate sense.
Right, it's all about the delegates. So what is different about the electorate this year?
This year, I think the thing to watch is whether they can get more young people out than they did in the past, in 2016, and make it look more like it did in 2008. If you look at the area around where the state fair is, let's look at Des Moines, for example, right? We've got an area there that has a slightly higher percentage of younger Democrats in it. Okay, so you might imagine, I'm sure people come from all over the state, all over the country, really, to go to that fair. But around there, they might get a chance to meet more young people. And that's not just important in terms of persuasion. They also have to build an apparatus that will go and knock on doors and get people out come next winter, because at the end of the day, only about a quarter of Democrats actually come out for these caucuses. So having those folks who go out there on the ground and get out there and knock on doors, et cetera, maybe they can sort of gin up that kind of support too. And then you look also at the composition of the electorate and the graphic that I think we're showing now, where, again, you've got, in 2008, it was almost a quarter of voters under 30. That dipped a little bit in 2016, went up in our polling. So if it stays up there, that's a different dynamic than it is if the electorate is a lot older.
Yeah, so, Caitlin touched on it a moment ago. What are the issues that are most important to the Democratic voters there? Well,
like they are in the other states, health care has really risen to the top in our most recent polling, and also climate change is a big one. And I saw you mention it, and Joe Biden talked about it a little bit as well. That's something that is on the ground, is an issue that seems to be affecting people. Certainly Democrats tell us that that's affecting them. Obviously, it's a farm state. That could have an impact. So that's something that's popping up in the polls as well.
So you talk about this chase for delegates. When you look at that big picture, how much does Iowa matter?
Well, Iowa is first and foremost a media play, and we've got to emphasize that throughout.
You're setting the tone, right?
Yeah, and you got to remember its total contribution of delegates to the overall Democratic race isn't actually that big. It goes first, so it gets a lot of attention. It's often a test for some candidates who want to prove they can win a certain type of voter. But the thing to really watch this year is that so many big states are going so early in the process that Iowa could be a little watered down in that respect. Somebody who finishes, say, lower down in Iowa might say, hey, wait, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a chance to pick up delegates in California or Texas or South Carolina or a lot of other places. So I suspect that it will, of course, matter because it gets a lot of attention. But in delegate terms, it's really not as much with that front-loaded schedule, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that dynamic actually plays out in the end. All right, Anthony Salvanto, always great to see you. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thanks.